Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Awkward Teenage Years. Thanks for tuning in tonight. If you've never seen this show before, I just want to give you a quick little overview. We talk about our teenage years. We tell stories about humiliation, injuries, both physical and emotional. We talk about a lot of firsts, like first dates, first kisses, first drugs and alcohol, fun stuff. Mostly we talk about coming of age. We like to talk about our teenage years. It's a very formative time in a lot of people's lives, and it's just been super interesting to tell and hear all these stories over the last bunch of weeks. So I'm going to give you a quick little preview of your storytellers for tonight. Everybody wave hello. Yes, lovely people. And I want to introduce our first storyteller. He is a nice Jewish boy, originally from the suburbs of Chicago, now resides in Connecticut. He's a comedic improviser, public speaker, storyteller, and his most recent job is as executive assistant to his 16-month-old son, Bennett. Please, everybody, welcome Jamie Machotka.
Yay, me. Thank you. Thank you. So when I was in high school, I decided it would be a good idea to come out. What you may not be able to tell by looking at me is that I was actually born a girl, but I was a guy inside. And I wanted to face that in high school, just get it over with. And I also really wanted to date just like everybody else dated in high school. So I did that. My friends were accepting. And then I had the almost typical dating, surprisingly. I had the random dates, and then I had the dramatic 1 month long relationships that, ended suddenly. And then I was on the hunt to find somebody that I could be serious with. And the other thing that I wanted was that I wanted someone who, if I'm being honest, would also fit in with my friends. I had two best friends named Peter and Jake, and they were each a year older than me, and they were these sassy gay guys. And to give you an example, they're like the Mean Girls, like from Mean Girls, the movie, and they had nicknamed my previous girlfriend Wallpaper. So I knew I had to do better on the next round when I started dating. So I met a girl named Carol, and I really liked her a lot. And there's no beating around. Well, that's funny that I'm saying beating around the bush. That's another play on words. To tell Carol that I'm transgender and that I would just like to date her. So very bluntly, that was what I said. Hey, Carol, I was born in the wrong body. Can we date? Can we do this? And she just said yes. And that never happens in high school, ever. So I was so happy. And so things are going well with her, and a couple months go by, and I have a great idea. I would like to hook up with her and not be interrupted and have a date night, but how can I do that when I'm in high school living with my mother and older sister? Because they will interrupt or come in at the wrong time or spy on us. So I asked Peter if I can use his apartment because he's a year older, he'd already graduated, and he just had gotten his first apartment. So he says yes, and I think, great, I'm gonna plan a date night. I tell Carol all she has to do is come to Peter's apartment Friday night. And when she arrived, I had set a nice spread. I had, decorated the table. I made place settings. I picked up her favorite Thai food, and it was great. We had dinner. That went well. After dinner, we were playing with Peter's cats, and they were like dogs. Like, they would fetch, and they were playful, and they didn't bite, and they didn't scratch. And naturally, their names were Versace and Gucci. And so after we played with the cats, I told Carol that I would like to give her a massage. And Jake, my other friend, worked at H2O at the time, and he would always hook me up with products. And he had just given me a cute little pouch, like a zippered pouch, and it had 5 little bottles of massage oil. And I thought these would be good to use for date night. So I tell Carol to come into the bedroom. I had dimmed the lights. I was playing that weird Enya shit music. I'm creating the atmosphere. and I say, all right, take your shirt off and I'll give you the massage. Now, because the lights are dim, I can't exactly make out what the bottles say or like the scents, they were odd things like, ocean breeze and windswept hair, descriptions that really don't help you figure out what you're opening. So I just picked one and I lathered my hands like you do, and then I lathered her back like you do, and she's responding well. Oh, this is great. That feels so good. You're hitting my pressure points. I don't even know what a pressure point is, so I'm just very happy. And then, all I can think about is I'm ready to hook up with her. And I think, okay, I have to be a true gentleman. I can't just be 4 minutes into the massage and be like, that's it, all done, let's make out. So I try to hold myself back and I'm just into it. And then a couple minutes go by and she's like, oh, can you stop for a second? And I'm like, oh no, fuck. But I say that internally, of course, I'm a gentleman. I would never say that out loud. She's like, I'm getting such a bad headache. And I'm like, oh no, I'm sensing this could go south. And I say, you know what? I think these massage oils have some kind of aromatherapy. Maybe there's some eucalyptus and some lavender. Oh yeah, I think this other, yeah, that looks good. Let me try this. And so then I open this bottle and I pour even more oil. I dump the whole thing all over my hands. And then I start rubbing her back everywhere. And like 30 seconds to a minute goes by and she's like, no, like really, you have to stop. I'm nauseated. Like my head is killing me. I'm so sorry to crash date night, but like I have to go home. Well, now I'm really pissed, but I'm trying to hide it. I turn on the lights. She gets up. She's putting her shirt on. And I watch she puts her shirt on and I see that she has hives all over. And like the true gentleman I am, I don't say anything. Then she goes home. I call Peter. I tell him how upset I am, that date night didn't go well. He can come back to his apartment and console me. Peter comes back. He opens the door and he says, oh my God, what did you do in here? I said, nothing. Nothing happened. I gave her a massage. You gave her a massage? What did you use? I go get that cute little pouch I think I'm so proud of, and I hand it to him. I said, I used these. And he takes out a bottle, and he holds it up, and he sees, and then he starts reading, and he's chuckling. Concentrated bath oil. Put 1 to 2 drops into the bath and enjoy. I had lathered this woman in concentrated bath oil 2 times. Eventually, we broke up. Didn't work out. And Peter had to throw out his comforter, his duvet, all the pillows, and his cats would not come into his bedroom for a month. And it's taken me approximately 20 years to be able to talk about this and admit it to other people. Thank you. Oh my God. Really bad.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised that you said you eventually broke up. I assume you would break up like the next day.
Exactly.
I can't remember how soon it was. I mean, it was probably pretty soon. I just don't know if it was the next day, but it wasn't long.
Probably a while before you got an invite back to Peter's apartment, I would guess.
Yeah, he never let me borrow his apartment again.
Should he? It's
Big shock.
Amazing.
Wow, that's crazy.
oh, that story never gets old.
Thank you, Grant.
So, Jamie, do you have anything that you would like to plug? What have you got going on?
Unfortunately, the only thing I have to plug is that I'm happy that I'm alive and that the 16-month-old I'm in charge of is also alive. I'm working on writing, but I don't have anything on social media just yet. But when I do, I will be sure to let you all know and get it out there. So for now, thanks for enjoying this story.
Is there anywhere people can follow you on social media?
Yes, I naturally picked my complicated last name, which is Machotka 83. Look on Twitch for that. Maybe they'll put my name because it's impossible to spell. It's Machotka. So we're looking for a new moniker, one that people will easily be able to find.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for doing the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
All right. Keeping the show moving. Our next storyteller is a co-creator of this show and one of my good friends. You've seen her at the Moth Community Showcase. You've seen her on Adam Wade's storytelling series. And you've also seen her on this very show many, many times before. So please give a warm digital welcome to my friend Anastassiya Maximenko.
Ooh, I'm giving myself applause. All right. After the middle school, during the summer, my parents sent me to a summer camp. And once we arrived there, all the kids were divided into 7 houses and basically 7 teams. And each house had 2 separate rooms for boys and 2 separate rooms for girls. And me and the girls in my room became besties right away. In the summer camp, as any other summer camp, like bunch of games for team building and basically, bunch of games and also like singing with the guitar around campfire. But at night, me and my girls had another type of entertainment. We would stay all night up and we would talk about life, teenager life. And we would talk about like horror, like tell each other horror stories. And we would always be afraid that our camp counselor will find out that we're awake because we were not allowed to stay up so late. So, but we liked that, breaking the rules and stuff. So summer was amazing, but it passed so fast. And in the end, one of the girls in our room, her name is Sasha. And Sasha is just crazy troublemaker. And she goes, listen, there's a tradition every year. The most coolest, the most amazing room does the prank on other rooms in the house. And the prank is always the same. Putting toothpaste on the skin, on the faces of sleeping teenagers, and dressing their room in toilet paper. So, like, and once, you know, like the bravest room and the room that wasn't get caught is gonna be celebrated during the last ceremony. And the last ceremony is actually like huge dance party outside under the sky around this wooden structure that is getting burnt. And this is almost like Burning Man, like here in the United States, that was a teenage Burning Man. So basically this wooden structure, like representing like man touching nature or whatever, it stood in like in the middle of camp for like from the beginning. So all the time we would pass, we would get extra excited for this last day, last ceremony, when this wooden structure gonna get burned. And since, basically Sasha goes, we gonna be legends. And our like knowledge of us gonna pass along to the future kids of next year. So everyone is sold, we're like, okay, let's do it. Let's be legend. All right, the night comes in, so we wait until everyone goes to sleep. And we wait until like 2 a.m. So everyone is in deep sleep and no one's waking up. And we decide to go to the room of boys that is closer to our room. And we go inside and it's strategy, okay? Team toothpaste, putting toothpaste everywhere. And instantly, like the entire room smells like peppermint Colgate. Room toilet paper, I was in team toilet paper, and I was in that team. We unwrapped all the toilet paper, tying in one end of the bed to another end, so it's like, it looks like toilet paper mess. So first room done. Then we decide to go to the second room of other boys' room. And we feel confident, we're experienced. Oh, again, everything is like team toothpaste, team toilet paper, bam, bam, second room done. And afterwards, we go to the third room where the girls' room. And Sasha goes, because Sasha was a toothpaste team, she goes to the first girl to put little blob of toothpaste on her cheek, and that girl starts to move. And we all just stand breathless. It's almost like from the scene from the movie when they're robbing the bank and there's lasers everywhere and everyone just standing, not moving. While this girl take her hands and she just smudges entire toothpaste on her hair. And then she turns around and starts to snore. So we're like, whew, almost. We go, oh my gosh. So then Sasha has another idea. She goes, it's probably girls are more sensitive, so we're running into trouble of them waking up. So let's put a little bit of toothpaste and toilet paper so everyone thinks it's them. We're like, genius. So we just, put a little bit there and there, a little bit of toilet paper, and then we go to our room and just like dripping in toothpaste everywhere and toilet paper everywhere. And we just go to sleep. The next day, the morning, you just hear screams. What the hell? Who did do it? What's happening? And our counselor, the camp counselor is just pissed off. He's like, everyone outside, stand in line. So we didn't even wash our faces. Like I'm with the toothpaste everywhere. We all stand in line under the sun and he's pissed. He's like, how could you do it? You broke so many rules. We're gonna call your parents. And I'm thinking it's just a prank. And it's tradition. Like why he's going so crazy? And he's like, no, you have to think the toothpaste on skin, it's so dangerous. Now everyone say, who did it? And everyone's like, no. And we will say, no, we didn't do it. Nobody's did it. And he goes, if you're not gonna say who did it, nobody goes to the celebration. And we're like, what's happened? No, it's not us. We have to go. So, and then, counselor give us another hour of speech under the sun, and I just feel like the toothpaste starts to burn. And then, counselor let us go, and I feel like I'm burning from inside. So I have to go to the, a medical office, to the nurse's office. And she goes you have a fever, probably from this, chemical and toothpaste and so much sun. So she gave me too many meds and I'm like, I'm tired and sedated. So I go back to our house and everyone is like, all the girls are so happy. And I'm like, what happened? While I was away, they say the counselor said, if we're gonna, clean entire house, they will let us go to the celebration, to the Burning Man. And I'm like, I have no energy. I just fall asleep. And then I wake up because Sasha is trying to wake me up and it's dark outside and I just see the light and I feel the, I just smell the wooden burn, wood burning. And she goes, hey, Anastasia, it's so awesome out there. You have to go. And I'm like, yo, I feel so bad. And she's like, oh, okay, well, bye. I'm just laying down, no energy. And I'm so upset because I'm like, universe, I took heat for entire room. And here I am just laying down by myself where my girls, and I wanted to see this burning Burning Man so much. And the only, like, I'm angry only at myself because I followed the herd. Never gonna do it again. That's what I said to myself. Thank you.
Oh man, we went from one skin burn to another.
Yeah. The theme is emerging tonight.
Good point. Good point.
Man, that's so nuts. It's crazy that they let kids that young have a mini Burning Man ceremony.
Yeah.
That was so amazing. Like, I was waiting, the entire summer I was waiting for that day. And yeah.
Did you barter goods and outrageous outfits too?
No, it's not that crazy.
I mean, and I think it was mild. You know, toothpaste and toilet paper. We did some other really bad stuff. Where
Exactly.
I'm thinking, that's nothing.
Exactly. I knew what happened. Yeah.
All right, Anastasia, what have you got to tell us about? What do you got going on?
So, first of all, follow me on Instagram, Anastasia.speaks. My name, as well as Jamie's last name, spelled crazy. So definitely, you know, see my Instagram in the chat. But also, I want to plug our show, which is Awkward Teenage Years. So you can also follow us on the Facebook or Instagram, which is at Awkward Teenage Years. And also, if you have some awkward stories from your teenage years, please, please, please email us your pitches to awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. Also, watch our oldie videos because this is 7th episode. You probably missed something, but you can rewatch our videos on YouTube. Just search Awkward Teenage Years. Also, there's something really interesting happening. There's going to be 24 hours true storytelling festival online, and it's gonna it will happen on June 14th to 15th, and basically our host Will Clegg gonna host the hour of a true storytelling show on the 14th at 3:30. There's going to be Grant, there's going to be Adam Wade, there's going to be Ophira, so please come to that show as well. And probably that's it.
All right, thanks Anastasia for that little PSA there. The hour that I'm hosting is not going to be teenage stories, just to be clear. The theme of the show is going to be when the impossible becomes possible. So that's what all the stories will be somewhat about. Devin Sandiford is also going to be appearing on my hour, which is really cool. He's been a guest on this show before. And we're super excited about that. So we'll tell you more about that at our next show, which is going to be June 11th. It'll be right before the 24-hour festival. All right, so we're going to keep the show moving. Next up is a friend of mine who's also located here in New Jersey, and she is a storyteller and a comic. She's performed all over New York and New Jersey. She is the co-producer of On the Waterfront Storytelling, along with Adam Wade, a show that I was privileged to be on back in November. And I'm really excited to have her here tonight. So everybody, please welcome Carla Katz.
Oh, no. I'm unmuted now. Very good. So when I was a kid, I had 3 go-to Halloween costumes: Astro Boy, a hobo with a beard, and Zorro. And I loved my Zorro costume. I had the little black eye mask and the flat top Cordovan hat, and I did a little pencil mustache, just like Don Diego de la Vega. And I wasn't sure if my mom was more concerned that I might want to be a boy or that I might want to be some rich Spanish dude, but as soon as Halloween would start approaching, she would start hinting, what about Wonder Woman? She's strong. Or how about a princess? But I didn't want to be a princess like my older sister Janice. I wanted to be an outlaw fighting injustice. And so I was Zorro again and again and again. And I wasn't really ever sure why these male costumes made me feel powerful. But I do know that they let me feel different. And like Zorro, I hope that I could be two people and that one of them could be strong. And I still felt different when I got to high school, and I hated everything about my looks, my frizzy hair, my Coke bottle glasses, my very visible actual mustache. And so I spent a lot of time alone in my room listening to glam rock. And I was in love with Bowie and Prince and Mark Bowen from T-Rex and Elton John. And I love their music, but I also love that they were unapologetically androgynous and that they wore glitter and makeup and dresses. It felt subversive and flashy and loud. And, you know, it gave me some hope that I could be weird and still be cool. But I was absolutely not cool kid material. And so I tried to join the least unpopular cliques at school. I was president of the Key Club. And then I met Pam Laurel, and Pam was like my opposite. She was beautiful and blonde and blue-eyed, and she had no mustache whatsoever. And we became best friends. And I still wasn't popular, but now at least I was popular adjacent. And there was something about being in Pam's orbit that gave me the confidence to try out some new things. And so I got contacts and I bleached the mustache and I started wearing men's clothes. I wore these skinny ties and trousers and like men's tie Oxfords. And then to look more like Bowie, I dyed my hair purple and carved a checkerboard into one side and a lightning bolt into the other side. And my new look really gave me the same kind of thrill that I had as a kid as the masked vigilante. But my new persona was still missing something important. And specifically, that was a men's suit in blue satin with wide lapels and padded shoulders, exactly like the one David Bowie wore when he sang Life on Mars. And I had no idea where you get something like that, but I fantasized about kind of walking into high school in this suit and everybody just looking and admiring and saying, who is that rock star? But, you know, it wasn't something I could figure out even where to get. And then one day I see a poster on the high school bulletin board for an upcoming concert at the Spectrum in Philly, and it is Elton John. And it is 1974, and this is going to be Elton John's biggest North American tour yet. And I feel like it would make my life if I could go. And I've never been to a concert before, but I also know that my parents, my very strict parents, would not want me to go. I mean, it's be 20,000 people, which would mean danger, and it would definitely mean drugs. So I do something that I hate to do, which is I enlist my sister Janice, because she likes Elton too. And in an epic moment of sisterly solidarity, we like plead and beg and whine and annoy the shit out of my father. And my mother even throws in. And after days of this, with certain conditions that he drop us at the entrance, wait till the concert's over and drive us home, he says yes. And I am like deliriously happy, but now I need something to wear. And my mom takes Janice and I shopping at the mall, and she's holding up dress after dress after dress, and I'm just dismissing them all. And finally, she just gets aggravated and says, Carla, what is it that you want? And I don't really want to say it because I know how she feels about this, but I say, Mom, I want a blue satin suit like the one David Bowie wears in the video. And she looked like she just smelled sour milk. And she says, Carla, why in God's name would you want to wear a men's suit to a concert? And honestly, I didn't know how to explain it. And so I just said, forget it. Let's just go home. And I spent the rest of that week sulking. And on the weekend, she came into my room and said, get in the car. And I said, well, where are we going? And she said, nothing. So I got in the car because I do what I'm told. And I'm sulking. And she drives us to this unfamiliar house and says, okay, get out. And she can see that I'm completely confused. And I'm sitting there. And she said, Carla, you said you wanted a blue satin suit. Well, Mrs. Balakwa is going to make you one. And I was completely shocked. You know, my mom was always complaining about how short of money we are and how much she hated seeing me in men's clothes. And, you know, I'm thinking that getting a suit made is probably something that's pretty expensive. And my mom's also not the kind of person that gives sentimental gifts. And so this is just incredibly surprising. And it made me feel like she understood something that I really didn't even have the words to say, and that she accepted it, and that she accepted me. And a couple weeks later, she hands me a big white box, and I say, is this it? And it is perfect. It is a sea blue blazer in satin, like shiny satin, with the padded shoulders and the wide lapels with matching bell bottoms and a white tailored shirt to go underneath. And I don't even get incredibly mad that my sister gets the exact same one, which is going to be very embarrassing at the concert, but I suck it up because I wouldn't be going if it wasn't for her. And my sister and I scream our lungs out as Elton flies onto the stage in a shimmering gold bodysuit with white fur sleeves and a foot-high crown, and sings Yellow Brick Road and Daniel and Honky Cat. And I feel like completely transported when he comes back for an encore in a white tennis outfit with Billie Jean King, the Billie Jean King, at his side, and sings Crocodile Rock and the Bitch is Back. And I'm sitting there just feeling sort of for the first time like I belong. And I don't wait for another special occasion. The very next day, I strut through the doors of Burlington City High School in my blue satin suit and my yellow platform shoes. And I don't need a mask or a sword anymore to make me feel like a hero. Thank you.
Oh my God, Carla.
Oh man.
Wow.
Sweet.
And I don't have a picture. I mean, how sad is that?
I was gonna say, where's the photo?
It was almost perfect. You could.
My mother always says that she lost all, there's like no photos. The ones I sent you were among the few that she says we lost the photos in the flood, as if there was a flood in South Jersey. I don't know. The basement probably flooded. That's my mother's version.
Oh my God.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Carla, what have you got going on? Where can people find you? What do you want to plug?
I have a website, which is just carlakatz.com, which is CarlaKatz.com. And I'm in a show next Wednesday, June 3rd, also virtual with Caveat New York City, called Funny Over 50. You can find me on Instagram at CAKatz, at CAKATZ. That's it. Thanks.
All right.
Really
Good.
love being on here.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's keep this show moving. Next up, we've got another one of the co-creators of this show. You've seen this guy at the Moth. You've seen him on Nights of Our Lives at the Magnet Theater. He's also written a solo show called A Public-Private Prayer, which debuted at the Pit at SoloCom last fall. He's looking forward to bringing that back to you as soon as we're able to do live theater shows again. So please give a warm digital welcome to my friend Grant Bowen, everybody.
Whoop. Hey, Will, thank you so much. All right, I think we're good to go here. When I started out in middle school, there was at least one person I could tell was going to make my life a little more difficult. It was this kid named Jonathan. I'm going to be blunt. Jonathan wasn't bright. In fact, it was common knowledge that he had been held back a couple of times. So keep that in mind. This dude was old enough to go get his learner's permit. And here he was stuck with a bunch of kids whose voices had just changed. And that must have made him feel really insecure, because what he lacked in intelligence, he made up for in meanness. Jonathan was like a true school bully. Like, he didn't get along with any of the teachers. We were constantly hearing about fist fights he was getting into outside of school. And he really went out of his way to antagonize people. And in gym class, he took this antagonism to like prison yard levels. Like, if you were scrawny or small, you were an easy target for Jonathan. If you had a lisp or a speech impediment, he would make fun of the way you talked. And when the coaches weren't looking, sometimes he would go so far as to start, ganging up on somebody and shoving them around. In case you can't tell, I didn't like this kid. There's a part of me that still doesn't like this kid. He never really picked on me, but I hated watching him pick on these other kids. But whenever I got the slightest inkling to maybe step in and stick up for someone who was a target, Jonathan would catch me with this really intense stare that he had out of his bright blue eyes. It was like this ice cold serial killer kind of glare. He'd just be like, "What's up, Bowen?" And I'd be like, "Nothing," and I'd get away. I'd think, "Come on, you gotta keep your head down." See, I was scared of Jonathan. And I was still this goody two-shoes rule follower at this point. Like, I was trying to be a good student, and I wanted to be the guy that everybody got along with. So I'd tell myself, it's like, I know you hate seeing this stuff happen to everyone else, but someone else is going to take care of it, okay? You have got to focus on your own survival. Like, do not get on this guy's bad side. So one day we're in gym class. We've already changed. We're sitting on the benches waiting for class to start. And the coaches hand out our syllabus. You heard that right. A syllabus for gym class. Total waste of paper, but it's all the teachers in school had to do it, so they had to do it. Anyway, they hand out the syllabus to everybody, and they go into their office. They're not watching us. So I'm sitting there intently reading my syllabus like a good boy, and I don't notice that Jonathan and his friends move over and sit next to me on the bench. And because they can tell I'm not paying attention, they decide they're going to try to be funny. So Jonathan very slowly reaches over and then very quickly yanks the paper out of my hand. Only I've got a good grip on it. So when he yanks it, the page tears in half. And that just makes them start laughing their heads off over what they've just done while I'm sitting there holding this half sheet of paper. Look, I'm a nice guy. I have a lot of patience. But there's a very small list of things somebody can do to trigger a reaction of instant rage in me. One of them is to yank shit out of my hands. And the other is to damage my property. And even though it was just a sheet of paper, Jonathan just did both things. And what happened next happened in the blink of an eye. I'm looking at the torn syllabus in my hands. I see red. I look over to see Jonathan and his friends laughing at how stupid they've just made me look. I raise my hand back, and in one swift motion, I slap the shit out of the back of Jonathan's head so hard that there is a loud, audible pop that echoes through the locker room. Again, this happened very quickly, pure impulse. By the time I realized what I was doing, it had already happened. Like, I snap out of it and I look at my hand, I'm like, oh God, what have I done? And I look at Jonathan's friends and they're looking at me like horrified. They're like, this kid just signed his death warrant. Oh, sweet youth, you had so much life ahead of you. And then we turn and look at Jonathan, whose head is lurched forward, his eyes are closed, and he's gritting his teeth. It is the look of someone who's doing everything they can to restrain themselves. And if the previous moment happened in the blink of an eye, this moment felt like time had frozen because we were all waiting to see how Jonathan was going to respond. And then, slowly, he turns his head towards me, locks in with that serial killer glare of his, with those icy blue eyes. And as I stare death in the face, he says, very quietly, Bowen, if you ever do that to me again, I am going to kick your ass. And I was like, got it, bye. And I got away from there. I just ran away. I went, sat with some other friends. I asked the coaches for another copy of the syllabus. And shortly after that, like, class started. And for a few days after that, I was absolutely terrified. Like, I had never lashed out at somebody like that, and I just knew Jonathan wasn't going to let me get away with it. And I was waiting for that moment where he was going to corner me and, like, exact his revenge. Like, I was waiting for that axe to drop. But then after a few days went by, I realized that nothing had happened. In fact, Jonathan had barely said 2 words to me. Like, wouldn't even make eye contact with me. And that's when I put it together. When I slapped him in front of his friends like that, I had embarrassed him. I had stood up to him. And now he was leaving me alone because he saw me as someone who would stand up to him. And then I thought about everything I knew about Jonathan. Like, I thought about how he'd been held back, he was struggling in school. And I had also heard that he didn't have the best life at home. And that doesn't make him pure evil. It means he's just a kid who's got his own problems, and he's frustrated, and he doesn't know what to do. Just like I've got my own problems. And then I really felt bad about what I did. Because I was so scared of Jonathan, I had basically acted like Jonathan. And that's not who I wanted to be. So from that day on, I didn't get picked on by Jonathan. And from that day on, I never hit anybody else at school again. Thank you.
Violence is not an answer.
I was going to say that it is. So even though you don't want to be like Jonathan, I was like, no, I would like you to be.
I'll say, he backed off. He did. I never got that glare again.
Are you still in touch with Jonathan now?
What was that?
Are you still in touch with Jonathan now? You know what he's up to?
I haven't talked to that dude. I did do a little Facebook stalking. He's a pastor now.
Really?
Well, Grant, I have a surprise for you. Here in my very apartment it is.
Oh, that would be.
I'm gonna find this.
I married him 20 years ago.
Oh, it's sad because I know what that story is. Anyway. Oh, God. Thank you guys so much.
That was
What have you got to plug? Where can people find you?
For the most part, I'm going to do this in the Twitch chat while I'm thinking of it. You can find me on Instagram at jgrantbowen. I don't have much else going on, so if you want, I can take the reins to talk about a couple of organizations that mean a lot to us.
Yeah, let's do our public service announcement.
All right. Let's get that graphic on screen. There we are. Now, as you guys know, tonight's show is free. We're happy to offer that for you, but there are a couple of different theaters that, like a lot of live performance, they're struggling right now during this time, during this pandemic with everything shut down. So we just wanted to draw your attention to them for a bit. First of all, we have Frigid New York. They are a public, I mean, they're, sorry. They are an off-Broadway theater. They run the Frigid Festival every year. The Frigid Festival is where we first did this show live back in February. So without Frigid, this show realistically wouldn't exist. You can find out more about them. They're still doing online shows. You can find their schedule at frigid.nyc and at Frigid New York on all of their social media, Facebook and Twitter. If you want to donate to Frigid to help them out and get them through this time, you can donate at venmo.com/Frigid New York, or you can become a member of their Patreon campaign. I'm a member, Will's a member, Anastassiya a member. They have a lot of cool rewards at different monthly giving levels, so you can go to patreon.com/Frigid New York. The next group we want to draw your attention to is the Magnet Theater. We all have taken storytelling classes at the Magnet Theater. If in the case of Frigid, the show wouldn't exist. If it weren't for the Magnet Theater, we wouldn't be storytellers. We owe them so much. They like Frigid are still producing live shows right now online. They have their own Twitch channel at twitch.tv/The Magnet Theater. You can find them at Magnet Theater on social media. If you want to donate some money to them, you can go to magnettheater.com, click on the virtual shows banner. You can purchase tickets to any of the shows they've been doing on Twitch. It would really help them out a lot. Also, I know a lot of the instructors on Magnet are offering online classes at this time. So if you want to take a fun class with them in improv or storytelling or sketch, that'd be a great way to help them keep the doors open too. Thank you guys so much. Give to Magnet and Frigid if you can.
Okay, I just want to shout out about Magnet too. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on their Twitch, which is twitch.tv/The Magnet Theater. My wife's sketch team, Milwaukee, is going to be doing their first show since the pandemic started. Special surprise, I've unretired from acting after, 20 years, and I'm making a small appearance in the show. So please tune in, check it out. There are a lot of funny sketches, and you get to see me trying to act against my wife, who is a professional actress, and she really does a great job. I don't do a great job. I do an okay job, but watch it. It's fun. So yeah, those are our friends over at the Magnet Theater. All right, it's time for our final storyteller. I'm very excited to introduce this next storyteller. I was very privileged to get to perform with her back in, I think it was January, I don't know, in the before times, when we had live shows still at Nights of Our Lives at the Magnet Theater. She has been featured on NPR. She's been on True TV's Impractical Jokers. She is the creator and host of a New York Times Critics Pick show. It's a storytelling series called Sideshow Goshko. And we're really excited to have her here tonight. Please welcome Leslie Goshko.
Oh my God, that intro. Will. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Will, Grant, Anastassiya, thank you so much. And big ups to Jamie and Carla. Very honored to be here. So when I was in high school, I was a huge musical theater nerd. Like the singing, the dancing, I wanted to be on Broadway. That's what I was going to do. The only problem was I sucked. Like I sucked hard. Like I couldn't get cast in anything. The only thing that I got cast in was like a church play. And like, we know that that's not a play. And also insult to injury is they would have to like make a character for me. So they're like, you're shepherd number 3. So my freshman year of high school, the community theater that we had was holding auditions for The King and I went and I auditioned and I got cast. And I was like, yes, this like white suburban girl is going to like rock a Siamese princess role. Like I'm going to do it. So I go and I get into rehearsals and it's everything I want it to be. It's, we're doing our choreography and I'm learning my one line and it's just everything I wanted to love about the theater. And it was awesome. And also I get my first crush on my brother. It's not incest if it's just a theater family. But he plays my brother and his name is Chuck. And we have so much in common. Like we get along so well. Like we both love singing, we both love dancing, we both love costumes. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, I'm about to have my first gay boyfriend. So I went to a really religious high school, and we didn't have prom because prom is of the devil. So we had banquet. So it's like prom, but there's no dancing, there's no music, more prayer. So you're basically just eating in a gown is what you're doing. And it's like Amish prom. It's Amish prom. So I was like, I'm gonna invite Chuck to be my Amish prom date. And so I asked him, I was like, do you want to go to Amish prom with me? And he said yes. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm in my first theater production. I've got my gay boyfriend that I don't know is gay yet. And my mom takes me, like she really does it up right. She takes me, we go to the mall. I go to the fancy store. I get a dress. Like I get my hair, I get my nails, makeup, everything. And the day of prom comes around and we were going with several other couples. We all pooled for a limo, like we all chipped in. And we go to my friend's house and we all start arriving and Chuck arrives and he looks amazing. Like he got a color coordinated vest to match my dress. Like we planned this very much out. He gives me a corsage. We do all the photos. And so we get in the limo and we set off. Now, the cool thing about this prom was that usually it's like in like a hotel banquet hall and super lame. But I think, Jamie, you're originally from Chicago, I think? Yes. So I lived outside of Chicago. So this year the prom was going to be on this like yacht boat sailing out of Chicago's Navy Pier. So we're in this limo, we're going to a yacht, we're just having the best time. And we're in the limo and it's summertime and I'm also sitting backwards and we get stuck in traffic and the traffic is just like, go stop, go stop, go stop. And we're actually getting in like fear that we're not going to make the boat for when it sets sail. And we're getting really nervous, but this like constant going like this and it's hot. I start like taking off my gloves. I'm like, why am I sweating? I feel so bad. And everyone's having a great time but me. And I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. Go stop, go stop, go stop. And we're like, we're gonna miss this boat. We're gonna miss our prom. And then finally there's a break in the traffic and we start taking off and all the girls are getting excited and they're like touching up their makeup and they're like, we're gonna make the boat. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make the boat is what I think I'm gonna say. But I open my mouth to projectile vomit all over the dress. So much vomit. I don't just projectile vomit over my dress. I projectile vomit onto Chuck. So now we're both covered in vomit. Won't stop exorcist style. The driver then takes a detour and pulls into a McDonald's. And he goes, you have to get her out of here and clean this up. You have to clean this up. I'm not going any further to clean her up. And they're so worried because we're going to miss this boat. So they drag me in this huge gown into the McDonald's bathroom. I'm sobbing, just sobbing. And they have paper towels. They're just getting all this vomit off. And they're like, stop crying, we're going to miss the boat, we're going to miss the boat. And I'm like, I've already missed the boat. So they get me cleaned up we get back in the limo, and Chuck is there, and he's like kind of cleaned himself up. I can't even look at him. I'm so mortified. We make it to the boat. They're literally blowing the horn that they're going to leave the dock, but we make it. We run up the ramp, we get on the boat, and that's when the boat just starts rocking and rocking. And I run to the bathroom. I spend the entire night in the bathroom on the floor. A good chunk of it is spent with this bartender who looks like she's lived a lot of life. She brings me bitters, and I basically just hang out with her all night. I don't even know what Chuck and them did. I wasn't even a part of it. When we finally dock again, we get off the boat, and the limo is there, but they don't allow me to sit with everyone in the back. I have to sit in the front seat with the driver for the entire ride home. And then my parents were in bed, so I go to bed and I just fall asleep because it's such a miserable night. And I didn't know that you could cry immediately upon waking, with the exception of this pandemic. But I wake up and just immediately tears. And my mom comes in my room to find out, like, how did your big night go? And I was like, it was horrible, and the vomit and the blah. And the guy was so sweet, though. He called me the next day, and he said, I want to apologize if I did anything to make you have a bad night. And I was like, no, bro, I'm pretty sure that was all me. Like, that was a hundo on me. I was so scared to run into him again. I never auditioned for another community theater production. I didn't go to banquet. It was so traumatizing, but I finally did get to do musical theater. So there was that. And I'm sure he found a very nice boyfriend. He was a great guy. So trauma.
Oh, the struggles of getting a date as a musical theater kid.
It's like, don't even try. Oh! Save yourself.
Did you sleep in the dress?
Oh no, I took it off. Although I loved that dress. The photo that you guys have is the dress, but I couldn't find any of me with the whole thing done up. But I love that dress. My husband saw the picture. He goes, why did you have a dress with a vest and a skirt? I was like, no, that's a one piece. And he goes, that makes it worse.
Oh no.
Did you shower before you went to bed?
I know. Jamie
no,
and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
No, I slept in the shame. I slept in the shame.
I would wake up crying too.
Yeah.
Harsh.
That is.
Oh man, nothing like a good vomit story. Leslie, what have you got to talk about? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. It's just my name, Leslie Goshko, Goshko. And I host a podcast called At 17. That's also in my Instagram link in bio. And then actually every Saturday night I play, before this all happened, I played piano karaoke, live piano karaoke, and at a place called Sid Gold's Request Room. And we are doing a virtual version of that. So every Saturday night, I am taking virtual piano requests and playing for you to sing along. So that is on the Sid Gold's Request page on Facebook, or really it's all just on Instagram. I always plug it on Instagram.
Can you talk a little bit about that podcast? Because I feel like it's got a little connection to our show here.
I know. I was like, this is like a perfect duo. We take guests back to when they were 17, and we just find out who they were, what they were doing, what their environment was, what did they want to do, because it's right on that precipice of when you are about to kind of launch out of high school and you have all those dreams and everything. And we kind of just walk through what's going on in their lives then, what music they were listening to, the culture and all of that. And then we end up with where they ended up.
Awesome. All right.
Wow.
That's on like Apple and Spotify and all the stuff.
Yeah, it's on everything. It's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all those things.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're going to be taking a little break. We're going to come back on June 11th with a new show. And I just want to plug one more thing before we go. My friend Sarah Nickerson, she's another storyteller who studied with Adam Wade and at the Magnet Theater. And she's got a new podcast out called Open Hands that just launched. I think it was last week. Devin Sandiford was her first guest, and I'm going to be appearing on it tomorrow. So if you want to hear me talk about my teenage rebellion against Catholicism, tomorrow, look up Open Hands on Spotify, Apple, all the things. All right. So that's it. Thanks so much.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, wait,
Excuse
hold
me.
on. Sorry. We got
Excuse me,
one more
sir.
thing.
I need to plug in one more thing. Will Clegg is turning 40.
Oh,
Oh, yes. Happy birthday.
Happy
Will.
birthday
There's
to
also
you.
that.
Happy
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Will Clegg.
Happy birthday to you.
Musical theater.
Thank you. This is it. The last day of my 30s. It's here. So, all right, folks. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much to all of our guests for telling stories tonight. I've had a great time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.